Welcome back. Following the terror attack in London, companies like Google are facing fresh scrutiny over controlling extremism online. The cover of Britain's Daily Mail today reads this: Google, the terrorist's friend. Many companies are pulling their ads from sites like YouTube because terrorist groups use them to get their messages out. Yesterday, the executive chairman of Alphabet, parent of Google, he's the former Google CEO, Eric Schmidt, was with us, and I asked him about controlling extremism.
My own view on most of this sort of extremist things, as well as fake news in general, is that it's essentially a ranking problem. Right? We're very good at detecting what's the most relevant and what's the least relevant. It should be possible for computers to detect malicious, misleading, and incorrect information and essentially have you not see it.
So Martin Sorrell is with us today, CEO of WPP.
Well, they are trying. To be fair to Google, they are trying to respond. And it's a serious situation, and the focus will switch to Facebook. It's not so much about the placement of ads on Facebook as the continued use of material or availability of extremist material on Facebook. So this actually started with Snapchat. Here in the United States, one of our clients withdrew advertising because just after the flotation, just after the company was floated, what, at $24 billion with 400, yeah, with $400 million of revenue, there was a situation where ads appeared adjacent to a porn celebrity's blog and withdrawals. That was the first trigger, and then we've seen a few examples. Actually, to be fair, small examples. We're not talking about large amounts of revenue. That doesn't underestimate the seriousness of this. At the heart of all this is the fact that Google and Facebook are media companies, just like Fox, just like the Wall Street Journal, and they have to take responsibility for the content they have online. The problem that Google has is it has curated content that it curates and can control, but then there's user-generated content which you and I control because we put it online, and that's the difficult thing to control. We're working very closely with Google as a result of what's happened in the UK and what's happening in the US to see what can be done technologically and through human resources to make it better. Now, the problem that Google has and Facebook has, they've been very successful. They control 75% of digital advertising, and to put it in perspective, that's 30% of worldwide advertising. So something like 20% of all worldwide advertising is controlled by Google and Facebook. So this is the penalty, in a way, of success. They have the margins, they have the resources, they have the profitability to do something about it, and it's beholden on them now to do that, both technologically, as Eric suggests, which I'm sure improvements can be made. We know there are improvements can be made, and they're doing them. Yeah. But also be human control. So this is a key issue, but they are media companies. They've masqueraded for years as technology companies. They're not technology companies. Yeah. They're media companies.
Everybody's competing against each other for
That's right. Video. I mean, they monetize inventory just like Fox does.
Yeah. Martin, there seems like there's two elements to this. There is the aligning of an ad next to objectionable content. Then there's also just the objectionable content itself.
Well, it's sort of the difference between Google and Facebook. Facebook is a question about they've got stuff on Facebook that's been there for many months, if not years, which is objectionable to various communities. And it's the failure to remove that stuff. It's the failure to exercise any editorial function. And just to make the point, there are two things happening in addition. The German government have threatened a €50 million fine for each breach of fake news, and the Vietnamese government hauled in about 100 people last week. Our agencies, including media owners, agencies, clients in Vietnam. This was more to do with political content, anti-government or government critical content. So to be fair again, you're getting into the area of censorship, which is a very difficult thing to monitor, and it's judgmental. I mean, the problem here is that this is about judgment, about human beings, rather than about algorithms and technology. So it's a balance.
Martin, these companies are not apolitical. Facebook, for example, for years has been very quick to shut down somebody's account if they were pro-gun or talked about the Second Amendment, or even YouTube. They'll shut down.
I'm not going to get into
no.
left,
I'm just
left
I'm
or right or center.
No, I'm making. I'm just.
All I'm saying is, you may be right.
No, I'm just saying that this has been long coming. Now they're getting religion because it's hurting their bottom line.
Well,
that's all.
was ever thus, right? But they can't sit there saying we're digital engineers, you know, sitting up by these pipes, sort of tightening the digital nuts with our digital spanners, and not responsible for the flow-through of content. Their argument has been that the flow-through of content is so big that you just can't control it. Tough. I mean, they have a privileged position. They have a very strong position. One would even claim dominant position, maybe even monopolistic or duopolistic position. Now they have to exercise some restraint.
My point is they have, because in areas that matter to them, like cracking down on copyright infringement on YouTube, for example. They will shut you down in a heartbeat if one organization accuses you of using copyright content, but they have let, say, jihadist recruiting videos and content flow through freely for years.
I think we have to get a little bit of balance on it. The actual number of situations that we're talking about are limited, and it is blown up for other reasons as well, which we're all well aware of. So I think you have to be careful about the balance. But even one instance is sufficient. You know, one anti-Semitic site, one jihadist site, whatever it happens to be.
And there are too many.
And because it's only one email to a CEO of a client that causes a problem.
So, Martin, your position is it's not going to be enough just to keep ads from appearing next to this content. No, they're going to have to go after the content, and that brings in Dagan's point of editorial control on something like Google.
My position would be this. Let's assume Eric is saying it's 100% certain, I think what he's saying, that you can deal with it technologically.
Right, he said
if you can, fine. If you can't, you just have to be very clear with clients and with agencies about the brand safety risk. If it's, let's say, 98% or 99% certain that you can control it, fine, but be aware of the risk, because up until now we haven't been aware of the risk.
Yeah, that's a great point.